For most of modern history, the rules that govern humanity have been built on one silent assumption. Energy belongs to the planet. Coal is mined from the ground. Oil is drilled from beneath the oceans. Wind blows through the atmosphere. Sunlight hits the surface of Earth. Borders, laws, economies, and power structures were all designed around this assumption. Nations control energy because energy exists within their territory. Conflicts erupt because resources are tied to land. Treaties exist because energy flows can be blocked, taxed, regulated, or negotiated. But what happens when this assumption breaks? What happens when the energy that powers civilization is no longer produced or stored on Earth at all? This question is no longer science fiction. It is quietly becoming a real strategic concern. As humanity's demand for energy accelerates and Earth's capacity to safely provide it reaches physical and environmental limits, governments and scientists are exploring solutions that move energy generation and storage beyond the planet. Space-based solar power, lunar energy infrastructure, off-world reactors, and orbital transmission systems are no longer theoretical concepts hidden in speculative journals. They are appearing in policy documents, research budgets, and long-term national strategies. And once energy leaves Earth, the rules that once governed it may lose their meaning. Energy has always been the foundation of power. Every major shift in global order can be traced back to a shift in energy control. The rise of industrial empires followed coal. The dominance of the 20th century followed. Oil, nuclear energy reshaped warfare and diplomacy by introducing the concept of mutual destruction. Each transition forced new rules into existence, new laws, new institutions, new moral frameworks. But in every case, energy remained geographically anchored. It came from somewhere on Earth. That anchor allowed rules to exist. Remove the anchor, and the rules begin to float. International law was never designed for off-world energy. The legal systems that govern trade, sovereignty, taxation, and conflict resolution are all based on territory. Even international waters, often cited as a parallel, are still part of Earth. They are patrolled, monitored, and regulated by nations with physical presence. Space is different. Distance, delays, enforcement. Orbits ignore. Borders. Infrastructure can exist beyond immediate observation. The Outer Space Treaty declares that celestial bodies cannot be owned by nations. But it was written in an era when no one imagined space as a functional extension of Earth's energy system. It speaks of exploration, not dependence. It speaks of cooperation, not survival. If energy is generated on the moon, stored in orbit, and transmitted back to Earth, who owns it? The nation that built the infrastructure? The corporation that operates it? Humanity as a whole? International law offers no clear answer, and history suggests that when law fails to define ownership, power fills the vacuum. The first actors to establish off-world energy systems will not simply gain technological advantages. They will gain leverage. Leverage over markets. Leverage over diplomacy. Leverage over entire regions, whose survival depends on uninterrupted energy flow. Unlike oil pipelines or shipping routes, space-based energy systems cannot be easily disrupted or controlled by traditional means. You cannot blockade the moon. You cannot impose tariffs in orbit. You cannot easily inspect infrastructure located hundreds of thousands of kilometers away. This creates a new form of asymmetry. Those with access to off-world energy become less vulnerable to traditional pressure, while those without it become more dependent. Dependence changes behavior. It limits choices. It reshapes alliances. Global rules rely on mutual vulnerability to function. Remove vulnerability, and cooperation becomes optional. There is also the issue of enforcement. International rules only matter when violations have consequences. On Earth, Enforcement relies on proximity, visibility, and shared norms. In space, violations may be invisible, deniable, or technically irreversible by the time they are detected. If an off-world energy provider prioritizes one region over another, restricts access, or alters pricing structures, what mechanism exists to stop it? Sanctions require leverage. Leverage requires alternatives. A world dependent on a single off-world energy network may find itself with neither. This raises an uncomfortable question. Can global rules survive a civilization that is no longer geographically unified? When energy flows from space, the planet itself becomes a consumer rather than a producer. Earth shifts from being the center of its own systems to being one node in a larger network. This is a profound change in perspective. Rules designed for planetary civilization may not scale to a space-dependent one. Some argue that off-world energy could reduce conflict by making energy abundant. Abundance, in theory, removes competition, but history suggests abundance rarely distributes itself evenly. Early access creates advantages that compound over time. Infrastructure built first sets standards. Standards become defaults. Defaults become power. If off-world energy systems are developed unevenly, global inequality may harden rather than soften. Energy-rich nations could insulate themselves from crises while energy-poor regions become permanently dependent. There is also the question of accountability. Democratic systems rely on proximity between decision-makers and consequences. When decisions about energy production are made off-world, far from the populations they affect, accountability weakens. Who answers to whom when a system fails? Who bears responsibility when energy shortages occur due to orbital disruptions, technical failures, or strategic decisions made beyond public oversight? Traditional governance models assume that infrastructure exists within the reach of those it serves. Space breaks that assumption. Even conflict itself may change. Energy infrastructure in space becomes a strategic asset, but also a strategic vulnerability. Attacks on off-world systems may not look like traditional warfare. They may be subtle, technical, deniable. Interference with energy transmission could cripple cities without a single explosion. In such a scenario, existing rules of engagement, deterrence, and retaliation become dangerously outdated. How do you respond to an attack that leaves no physical trace on Earth, but shuts down power across continents? Beyond law and politics lies a deeper psychological shift. For the first time, humanity would depend on something beyond its home planet for daily survival. This dependency changes how civilization perceives itself. Earth stops being a self-sufficient world and becomes part of a larger system. That realization alone carries consequences. Civilizations that depend on external systems tend to prioritize stability over freedom, continuity over reform. Risk tolerance decreases. Emergency powers expand. Rules bend in the name of survival. There is also an ethical dimension, rarely discussed. If environmental damage is moved off Earth and into space, does that make it acceptable? The Moon and near-Earth space may not host ecosystems, but they are not empty. They are shared environments, archives of cosmic history, and potential heritage sites for humanity. Turning them into industrial zones without global consent raises questions about intergenerational responsibility. Do current generations have the right to permanently alter off-world environments for their own benefit? Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of this transformation is how quietly it is happening. There is no global referendum on off-world energy, no public debate proportional to the stakes. Decisions are being made incrementally, framed as technical solutions rather than civilizational shifts. By the time the consequences become visible, the infrastructure may already be too embedded to reverse. Energy systems create path dependence. Once built, they shape behavior for decades. So when Earth's energy no longer belongs to Earth, do global rules still apply? The honest answer may be that they apply only until they don't. Rules survive as long as they align with reality. When reality changes, rules either adapt or collapse. Off-world energy represents a reality shift of unprecedented scale. It challenges the assumptions behind sovereignty, ownership, accountability, and fairness. It forces humanity to confront a future where power is no longer anchored to land, borders, or even the planet itself. The question is not whether this future will arrive. The momentum is already there. The real question is whether humanity will design new rules deliberately, transparently, and collectively, or whether those rules will emerge by default, shaped by the first actors to move beyond Earth's surface. History suggests that rules written after power is established tend to serve the powerful. If that pattern holds, the age of off-world energy may quietly redefine global order long before most people realize it has begun. And once energy leaves Earth, the world we built around it may never function the same way again.